Legal and business mistake I see podcasters making is not getting things in writing when they should. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Legit Podcast Pro. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer. I help creatives and business people in the podcasting industry cover their legal bases and protect themselves and the things that they create. And in this show, I'm here to offer you actionable, useful legal tips and information and strategies and answer your questions so you can grow your podcast like a pro. Okay, so we're talking about the biggest mistake that a lot of podcasters make with respect to the business and legal stuff. So lots of creators wait too long to get things in writing, or they never bother to do so at all. And time and again in my law practice, I have these folks come for a consultation when things start to go sour and it's time to either end the relationship or make some changes or whatever, or someone isn't doing what they're supposed to, or they're not getting paid, or they're not getting credit, or something else has gone wrong. And in almost every one of these cases that I encounter, it's because there's no contract, no written contract. And if you ask them why there's no written contract, it's almost always one of two answers. One, I didn't think I needed one. I'm working with my best friend, or I'm working with my sister, or my brother-in-law, or something like that. Or two, I just never got around to doing one. Now, unfortunately, sometimes these things just come up too late to make any kind of repair to the situation. And so what we're looking at is a breakup or a fight or some hurt feelings and resentment, and someone is giving up something that they think they are entitled to in order to settle the dispute, or the worst case scenario, they're going to go to court and asking a judge or a jury to decide what's supposed to happen next. And trust me, that is not a satisfying or a fun experience. So here's the thing. You actually already do have a contract. The trouble is, it's hard to tell precisely what it says because it's not in writing. So first, you need to have a contract. I mean, what is a contract? Well, a contract is really just an agreement that a court will enforce. So to have a contract, someone makes an offer, the other party accepts the offer, and then there's an exchange of some kind of value. Consideration, we call it in the law. But it's usually what that consideration, or is supposed to be, that becomes the subject of the dispute. Now, it's necessary to get these things in writing, because if it's not in writing, then we're asking the court to infer what is that consideration and when is performance happening? Has it happened? When? Who's supposed to do what and where, and those kinds of things. And sometimes, if you're picking up the other person's slack from the very beginning and you don't have something in writing articulating who's supposed to do what, well, it can look to the court like you were supposed to be doing all that stuff yourself from the very beginning. So it could actually work against you if you've been sort of carrying the other person, if you don't have a written agreement that says otherwise. So things go sideways, someone isn't doing their part, isn't pulling their weight, and now there's this confrontation or just a slow simmering that leads to someone bailing out or whatever. Now what? Well, the problem is that when you get to that point, people remember the deal differently. They remember things in the way that is most favorable to their position. And so this is even more important when you think you don't need one. You need a written contract to get these things clear on paper so nobody has any misunderstandings. The saying is, good fences make good neighbors. Well, good contracts make good business partners and collaborators. And it preserves the relationships and family relationships and friendships and those kinds of things. Having a written contract provides clarity, and it manages the parties' expectations. Now, the good news is that getting things in writing isn't as hard as it sounds. Now, sure, you could hire a lawyer like me to write out a formal, full-blown legal contract, and sometimes that's a really good idea. If you're in business you're not familiar with, or you don't know what to watch out for, or it's really big stakes and money's involved in those kind of, it doesn't, it sometimes makes sense to have lawyers do the thing. It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, but it does cost something. But you can also write contracts yourself. And I know, a lot of lawyers are going to tell you don't do this. But honestly, it's better than having no contract at all. And it's totally doable. I like to say do-it-yourselfable. Plain English is fine. Just get the basics down. And you can find templates for some kinds of contracts on the internet. But how are you going to know if it's the right form? Unfortunately, there isn't really much out there that's been created specifically to these creative fields, especially podcasting. This is just a new, somewhat esoteric industry. Or you could get forms and templates from my Podcast Law Forms store at podcastlawforms.com. Hold on, something was supposed to come up on the screen. There it is. But right now, if you are catching this within the first few days after it goes live, where today is October 20th, and through basically the 25th, we have something else to tell you about. You owe it to yourself to look at Easy Legal for Podcasters. Easy Legal for Podcasters. How am I doing? What am I doing here? It's not working. Easy Legal for Podcasters is my one-of-a-kind online training program that allows and shows you exactly how to get the legal stuff done without hiring a lawyer. You get the step-by-step instructions for forming your LLC, registering your trademarks and copyrights, contracting with your team, and that's the stuff we're talking about here, and striking smart, effective deals as you get into monetizing your show. And you get all the legal contract forms, the templates, the checklists, and more, so you can get it all done simply, quickly, and affordably. Think of it as do it yourself, but with my tools and templates and guidance from me, the podcast lawyer. And right now, we are running a special promotion, so don't wait. Visit Easy Legal for Podcasters right now, or just click the link in the description or the comments down below. And whatever you do, get things in writing. Don't wait. Do it before things get weird. So that's it for this episode of Legit Podcast Pro. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for being with me.